of course, we have so much to discuss in Georgia politics, and it's a good time to go to our political roundtable right now. Today, we have Fal Sabak, Assistant Vice President at McGuire Woods Consulting and former Executive Director of the Georgia House Democratic Caucus. And also joining us today, Republican strategist Jen Ryan. She is the founder and CEO of Final Draft Communications and previously served as Vice Chancellor of Communications for the University System of Georgia and Deputy Chief of Staff of Communications for Governor Nathan Deal. Let's start with this. We're taping this on Friday. Crossover Day just happened. You guys had long days yesterday. What were the big surprises at Crossover Day for you?
There were a few big surprises. One of the surprises was a lot of things had already crossed over prior to Crossover Day, like the big ticket items such as tort reform, the bills that the Senate has been doing on gender identity. And so things had already crossed over. And the one thing that I think everybody was really waiting for was the sports betting bill.
Amen.
And sports betting, Jen, how many times have we had this conversation? This year, over many years?
Yeah. 7 years now.
What's happening with sports betting?
It is so disappointing to see yet another opportunity to fully fund Georgia pre-K sustainably at $100 million to $200 million annually pass us by. I think there were a lot of disappointed people, parents, families, and we're in the middle of Georgia pre-K enrollment and lottery period too.
But somebody must be not disappointed about this. I mean, you need a consensus to get it across. So what is, Fal, quickly while we're still on this point, we're moving quickly through this panel here, but what's the hang up? What's the case against sports gambling?
There are a lot of arguments against it, right? The number one being that everybody is accessible on their phone. So if you let kids get on there, they could be addicted. We've seen the stories online.
Right.
The other part is it's the math of the chamber. And so when you have 80 Democrats on one side, 100 Republicans on the other side.
Doing the math, Jim.
Yeah, it took me a minute. We had long nights. But, trying to build that coalition amongst those two parties to figure out what can they each agree with, where will the money go, that's in and of itself a challenge.
And I will say that this year is the closest they've ever come. It's passed the Senate the last 3 to 4 years. This year it passed House Committee, I think at the most support it had ever had, upwards of 100 signers, so surprising.
I want to ask you guys about the kind of camaraderie, the coalitions between across the aisle, but also kind of this Democratic divide. And I want to point out one bill in particular, that's SB 185. That was a bill dealing with reassignment surgeries and hormone replacements for inmates in the transgender community. You saw 4 Democrats vote along with Republicans. Senator Elena Parent was one of those who we spoke with, Sonia Halpern, Ed Harbinson, and Freddie Powell Sims. The rest of them either voted no or didn't vote at all. Is this an indication of the divide that we are seeing in the Democratic Party, Val?
I don't think it's an indication of the divide. Look, I think that the Democratic Party, it's a big tent party. I think folks are trying to figure out kind of where their districts are, what is the message to go ahead and fight against the Trump administration. So I think folks are trying to kind of figure out where they are, how can they move forward, and then how can we continue to build the coalition and build up our power.
Okay.
Jen?
I would argue that the Republicans have built a bigger tent in order to encompass 4 really prominent, long-serving, very well-respected legislators. And I think that this is not just the mood of the country, but probably people not just voting their district, but maybe voting their morals.
I would think so. And I mean, that's what we saw even on the national level. I know we have 30 seconds left and we want to talk about McBath. Very
quickly here, one sentence answer to each of you. Representative Lucy McBath has not formally announced that she's running for governor. She's spun up this exploratory committee. Does this mean she's running, Fal?
It never means that she's running until she actually starts raising money. And so I think that this is a serious first step. I think it is an indicator that she is seriously considering taking the jump.
I'm just going to cut in. We're running really short here. Jen, one word to you. Do you agree with Fal?
I do. Yes, she is.
That was great. That was one word. That was perfect.
Short panel today.
Thank you both so much. As always, so good to have you. Georgia Vote will be right back after this.